Ladies and gents, it's your boy Rocco, and I'm gonna be yapping today about the aftermath of Naoya Inoue versus Picasso Night of the Samurai. Oh man, there's a there's a lot to talk about. First, great night of boxing, just an absolute great night of boxing. For from every fight, to be honest, every fight was just a great in its own version. It was just great for the sport, great for the entertainment, great for the night. I'm very this video is coming out a little late because I'm it fucked up my whole sleeping schedule, staying up to watch this live. I wasn't gonna miss this. For you guys and for my own sake as a fan, I didn't want to miss this, but I also had the video in mind that I think it's just better that I watch it live, get my reaction live, and then once a couple hours pass by and it simmers down a little, my true kind of thoughts can flourish and come out. And yeah, here we are. Without further ado, let's get started. Tsumi's TKO victory. Like I said, Tsutsumi was the first fight of the night. Uh, he was facing off against your boy Quintana from Mexico. Tsutsumi was a guy with 3 fights and 2 knockouts with 0 losses and zero draws. Obviously, he's now improved to 0 losses, 0 draws, but 4 victories and 3 by way of knockout. The first round, I had it to Tsutsumi. First round was a good round for him. He came out jabbing with some aggression. It was good aggression and jabbing by Tsutsumi. Good guard for Tsutsumi as well. He had a high tight guard as well. Good close range up and down. Just going jabbing and throwing rights, straight punches up and down. He was messing up the rhythm. And when they would get close, Quintana was trying to pressure him. That's his style. And when he was doing that, Tsutsumi would land some pretty good hooks, whether it was up or down in the body. Um, and it was a good round for Tsutsumi. But round two, it seems like Quintana found his rhythm in terms of pressuring Tsutsumi. So he ended up pressuring so good that the fight now became more at the rhythm and style of, you know, Quintana's pressure brawler type style. So that kind of forced Tsutsumi to not be as tactically pressure as he usually is. He's a tactical pressure fighter. He likes to use the jabs, likes to counter you, make you do mistakes, but he likes to do it moving forward and, kind of in a little annoying you with and suffocating you. And that round was in my opinion more in the favor of Quintana. Quintana was just eating the jabs and was doing great counters as well. Every time Tsutsumi would try to do something, he would counter it very well. But while all this is going down, third round happens and it's the same thing. It's Quintana applying the pressure, Tsutsumi trying to kind of navigate the storm. He's like a captain in a boat where in the middle of the ocean, but the ocean is a nasty storm. That was basically Tsutsumi. He was trying to find his way through navigating through these monstrous waves of pressure and power punches from Quintana. Tutsumi's blood like started gushing down from his nose. I don't think he broke it, but he was fucking like I said, Quintana was fucking him up with the counters and good pressure hooks. But then while all this is going down in the second and third round, I did notice that Tsutsumi was landing very good sneaky hooks, especially to the body. And that began to show at the end of the third round, where Quintana backed up after 2 devastating big monster clean shots by Tsutsumi to the body, and then the bell rung. But when he came out of his corner to start the fourth round, he didn't seem like he was fully recovered. It still seemed like his body was still hurting him. But that was a third round for Tsutsumi. I think Tsutsumi did do better, and even though it was still at the favor of Quintana, the fight, that it was being a like face to face fight, I still think it was a round for Tsutsumi. So I had round one and three for Tsutsumi, round two for Quintana. But like I said, starting round four, Tsutsumi was landing body blows after body blows. and then out of nowhere, he acted like he was gonna throw more body blows. Quintana already hurt, full 100%, lowered his hands to block at 100% his body, and got rocked with two monstrous bombs to the fucking jaw. And then that kind of like put him in a daze where he was stiff, and then Tsutsumi hit him with another hook, as you can see in the picture. That's the one that sent him flying to the ground. He got back up, and the ref said, you know, no more. And that was with 1 minute left in the fourth round, a round which I think Tsutsumi was winning either way. So, this is a good fight. Tsutsumi himself said that it was, you know, it wasn't like a good kind of demonstration of himself and like his abilities, but it was a good fight for him to have to learn to deal with that. Hey, there's guys out there that they can, with just something as simple as moving forward and pressuring you, can throw you off so much that it becomes more of a fight in their favor than in yours, despite you having more skills and more experience training wise than these guys. You know what I mean? So it's good that he learns that, because Tsutsumi did say that he has planned to make a career to where in under 10 professional fights, he will be fighting for a world championship belt. Doesn't matter which belt, doesn't matter against what champion, but he does want to be in a position where no more than 10 fights at the professional level, he's already there fighting for a world championship belt. So, with that in mind, if he does want to do that, here's what I have for his next, his fifth fight, the next fight for him. Um, the guy to your left is the first opponent, in my opinion, that he should go with. His name is Albert, and sorry for any Russian people watching, but uh, Batiragaziev. I hope I'm saying that right, but I'm gonna just call him Albert for the video. But Albert is a Russian gold medalist in the amateurs, and then he became pro, and he's currently sitting at a record of 12 victories, 8 by knockout, 0 draws, and 1 loss, and that loss being by way of KO. So they did knock him out in his only defeat. But he's a guy who fought at 126, became European WBO European champion there. Also became IBF International Intercontinental champ there, and he became European champ as well. The blue belt. For those who've seen it before, the blue belt that says EBU, that just means that you're the best coming out of Europe in this weight class. Then he moves up to 135, skips 130, goes all the way to 135, and becomes European champ. Champion of the blue belt. Then he goes back to 130, and then he becomes IBA champ, which I guess is like the belt that's right here in the photo that I have. I guess like it's like he becomes world champion for this small belt organization, you know. And then in his first title defense of this belt, he loses it by KO, which is his only knockout. So his last fight, he lost it by KO in the fourth. They knocked him out in the fourth round. So I think this would be a good comeback fight for him to kind of come back and to stardom. And like I said, if Tsutsumi really has in mind that he wants to be champion or be fighting for a championship belt, no more than 10 professional bouts, and he's already, his next fight will be at the halfway mark. This is a good guy to have. Or you can have the guy to my right, who is Sultan Zurbek. He's uh, I'm drawing a blank, but he's not Ukrainian. He's Chechik or Uzbekistani. There you go. I think he's Uzbekistani. He's currently sitting at a record of 20 victories, 13 of those victories by way of knockout, and he's undefeated with 0 losses, 0 draws. Um, his whole time he's been at 130, so that's good. Um, his first accomplishment was becoming WBC Youth World Champion. Then he became WBO Europe Champion. His last fight was in April as well, where he was crowned the WBA Intercontinental Champion. As you can see in the photo, he has the belt right there. and he hasn't fought since. So it has been a while. That's a little bit of advantage for Tsutsumi, to where Tsutsumi has been fighting a lot actively. This is his first professional year ever, and he's ending it with 4 fights. And then you have this fool who hasn't fought since early of 2025, but it is for WBA Intercontinental Belt, so that would obviously help Tutsumi in climbing the ranks to become world champion, or to attempt to become world champion in under 10 professional fights. Moving on to what happened with Imagna and Garcia. My God, was this a fantastic, fantastic fight. Uh, I did have this in a good, like, oh, by the way, this one, I got it right. Started off the night right. I did say Susumi was going to win. He just did it a little earlier than I anticipated. But in this one, I did say Imagna was going to win. And for those who did see the fight, there's no way you didn't see that he was winning until that devastating eighth round drop. The eighth round drop was just devastating for the momentum of Tsutsumi, and the momentum that gave to Garcia to want to come out and do more. Uh, I gave the first round to Imagna, the second round to Garcia, then the third round to Garcia, but then at the beginning of the fourth round, all the way to the seventh, I gave that to Imagna. He was just completely putting a good performance and a good rhythm. He was dominating with the jab and countering and moving. Garcia was forced to kind of be inactive because he was just worried that he was gonna get caught. Plus, he was more focused on trying to land devastating blows than just continuous blows. And it kind of paid off because, like I said, then the eighth round, everything was going kind of in the Magna's favor the first minute of the eighth round. And then, boom, Garcia drops him with a devastating right hook, despite him being a southpaw and his strong hand is the left hand. He dropped him with the right power hook that Imagna didn't see at all coming, and it dropped him. But credit to Imagna, he had a minute 30 to a minute 45 to survive. And if you ever seen any combat sport, that's a fuck ton of time to have to survive a storm of a guy who just dropped you. And now with that adrenaline of, oh shit, I dropped him, let me go finish him. It's hard. And Imagna didn't run. He was eating fucking nasty combos, and he was still standing, and he was even fighting back instead of just running away or hugging. He was even fighting back against Garcia in an attempt to make him stop, but it just wasn't enough. Eighth round was a 10-8 round for Garcia, and then in my opinion, he just won 9 and 10. Now, if you're calculating my rounds, that is 5 and 5. So one guy won 5 rounds, the other guy won 5 rounds, but it's not a draw because of that eighth round drop. Imagna, in my opinion, would have had to drop Garcia in one of those rounds in order for it to be a tie. But since Garcia dropped Imagna, that's an extra point in his favor that, in my eyes, made Garcia the victor. And what's next for Garcia? I think a rematch. I think a rematch is what we need. Like I said, Imagna just got careless one time and paid for it. But the whole time he was winning. He was winning pretty comfortably. He was in a flowing state for 4 rounds in a row. And that eighth round, that first minute, he was still flowing. He was still him. So it looked like the eighth round was going to be another round for Imagna, until halfway through that round, he got dropped. And then the rest of that round, he was just fucking surviving and getting beat up. And then round 9 and 10, it was just the momentum of Garcia trying to come out victorious, and it paid off. So I think immediate rematch for these fools. Imagna is now standing at 9 victories, 5 KOs with 1 loss and 0 draws. Garcia standing at 23 victories, 14 by knockout, 1 loss, 0 draws. By no means should they fight anybody other than themselves. But if the rematch can be made, Garcia is the victor. So I did put right here the winner. Since he is the winner, I think he could fight Cepeda. Garcia is a guy who fights at 130, but he did say like anybody at 135 can also get it. I think since Cepeda hasn't fought since July of 2025 in the Ring 3 when he lost against Shakur Stevenson, I think this would be a good comeback fight. You know, Garcia just got a little bit more famous, more stardom, more recognition for this fight, and Cepeda hasn't fought in a while. This would be a good comeback fight before trying to put Cepeda back in the rankings with top guys. Now, what happened with Tejada and Garcia? If you remember, like I said in my prediction video, I did say Tejada and Garcia was uh, kind of in a way canceled, but that they were trying to look for a late replacement for Tejada. Garcia felt woozy, felt ill, got rushed to the hospital after the weigh-ins, and was deemed unfit to fight, despite not revealing exactly what's wrong with him. But at the end of the day, this fight didn't end up happening. They couldn't give him a late replacement. So I just think, the right outcome is just that, just have them reschedule the fight between them both. I think Tejari does deserve a shot at the championship belt versus Garcia, and that it would be a good fight. You guys were both preparing either way, and then have that winner be facing off against Bam Rodriguez for undisputed in 2026. But if that doesn't happen, then Garcia should fight Bam Rodriguez to be for the undisputed fight. But I do think that this would be an interesting fight because I do think that Hardy would make a bigger fight for undisputed against Bam than Willy Bargo Garcia, if that makes sense. I do think it would be more of an entertaining and bigger fight if the Hardy fights Garcia, beats him, becomes the IBF world champion at 115, and gets to go for undisputed against Jesse Bam Rodriguez, as opposed to Garcia being like, hey, you know what? Instead of fighting Tejari, I'll go fight Bam. I just think Tejari would be a bigger fight than Garcia. But whatever the case may be, I still think they should fight because it was already a fight we were trying to watch and anticipating and we were predicting. So it should happen. Eh, man, this part. No matter what, no matter what, I think an immediate fucking rematch should happen. For those who don't know, Junto Nakatani was making his debut at 122 in order to put himself in the rankings in order to fight early 2026 against Naoya Inoue to see who's the real Japanese best fighter in the world right now. Junto Nakatani is now staying at a 32 victories, 0 losses, 0 draws, and 24 knockouts. Sebastian Hernandez now has his first defeat in his career with 0 draws, 20 victories, and 18 of them by way of knockout. I had it a draw. I understand people could have, the underdog story that he was able to do something that we all didn't believe he was capable of doing, and let that, influence your decisions. I'm not one of those people. Do I still admire and like what Hernandez did? Absolutely. Was he the better man in the sense of like winning the people and making the fight? Yes, he was just the better man. But was he the better man in terms of winning the fight? I don't think either one of them was. I don't think either one of them was. Because when I was watching the fight, the first 5 rounds were easily for Nakatani. There's no way you see any of those 5 rounds and think Hernandez won any of those rounds. 1 to 5 completely owned by Nakatani. But then there became a momentum shift where the pressure was working for Hernandez and Nakatani seemingly just wasn't doing anything to hurt Hernandez. It almost seemed like pillow hands. Like he had pillow hands against Hernandez. Hernandez was just a fucking Terminator. He was just an unstoppable guy. No matter how much you hit him, no matter how clean and how hard Nakatani was hitting him, Hernandez was just not wavering. He wasn't slowing down. He wasn't getting wobbled, and he wasn't showing signs of any fatigue or hurt. And at the contrary, Hernandez, the more and more hands he was letting go, the more and more he was actually getting to hit Nakatani. And Nakatani started getting hit more and more to the point where round 6 to 9, so round 6, 7, and 8 and 9, I had it for Hernandez. And then round 10, when Nakatani decided to stop kind of being a little bit engaging with Hernandez and kind of move in the back foot with the jab, trying to be sticking and moving, he did that for one round, which was the 10th round, which I gave it to him. But then Hernandez just finished the fucking fight in the 11th and 12th round his way, the way he was doing from round 6 to 9. And if you add those fucking rounds together, that's a draw. That's 6 rounds for one dude, 6 rounds for the other dude. That's my opinion. And like I stated earlier, I'm not a fanboy in the sense that I'm gonna defend the guy or I'm gonna root for a guy because he's just my favorite fighter and I think he wins and yada yada, or like this, like how I said Nakatani was gonna win and I do want to see Nakatani versus Inoue. Doesn't mean I'm going to let that cloud my judgment. I will never let anything like this cloud my judgment. And like I said, I'm not gonna let the underdog story combined with I'm a Mexican myself. This is a Mexican fighter who's having the night of his life, the biggest night of his life. This is the moment to seize. I'm not letting all this emotion and compatriotism blind my judgment. I, in the moment, didn't let this blind my judgment. I stayed calm, and I was rating it, and that's just what I saw. I saw round 1 to 5 easily be by Nakatani. Then I saw round 6 through 9 in a competitive, tough fashion be for Hernandez. Then I saw round 10 Nakatani go back to the sticking and moving and jabbing and countering, and it worked. But it seemed like he didn't have the energy to do that for all 3 remaining rounds. So he only won the 10th round by doing that. But round 11 and 12, it went back to the same rhythm that it was from round 6 through 9, which causes 11 and 12 to be for Hernandez. That's why I think that it is still a major robbery that you give this victory to Nakatani, especially that very nasty fucking. I don't know what the fuck that judge was smoking. I don't know what the fuck that judge was thinking. I don't know what fight he saw, or he or she saw, but there was one card that's going to cause a lot of controversy is the 118-110 scorecard. And I wrote it down just in case some of you fools don't know what that may mean. That means that in a 12-round fight, this judge only saw 2 rounds go in favor of Hernandez. That's what 118-110 means. He saw only one, he saw only 2 rounds for Hernandez. And that's just blatantly wrong. That's just disgustingly wrong. And it's just terrible that we still have moments like this in boxing where it's like, make it fucking obvious. How more obvious can you be that you're trying to make this super fight, this super Japanese fight between Nakatani and Inoue, that you're gonna go at all costs and just fix the scores? How more obvious do you want that to be? Making a card 118-110 when it's clearly obvious that he won more than fucking 2 rounds. It's just disgraceful. That's why I have it in my notes written like immediate rematch. I don't care what the fuck. I don't want to see that fight with Inoue and Nakatani at all until these fools fight. And then the winner of this, whether it be Hernandez and Nakatani, the winner, that fool should go fight Inoue. Because I don't want to see any other thing. Because you could give the benefit of the doubt that it was Nakatani's first fight at 122, and then you could give him the benefit of the doubt of saying, hey, you know what? We don't know for sure. It's not 100% guaranteed, but he may not have trained as hard for Hernandez as he would have for like an Inoue or for a world title shot, because it was just kind of in his mind that this was an easy breeze fight just to get in between him and Inoue. You know what I mean? Like, he probably didn't train as hard. He didn't think he was that tough. He didn't think he was going to do that much problem and damage to him. He said, fuck it. Why do I got to train that hard? He didn't have that mentality coming in. You could have that. You can have that excuse for Nakatani, and it'll probably be pretty valid. You can say it's a cop out, but that shit really does happen. Some of your favorite fighters look at a fighter and go, that fool doesn't deserve to be in the ring with me. I'm not going to train that hard. Doesn't train that hard and has a difficult fight. But then he goes with an elite fighter, trains hard as fuck, and makes the elite fighter look like shit. That's what your favorite fighters do. It happens. It's happened time and time again where great fighters, when facing great fighters, make them look easy, but then when they fight easy fighters, they struggle because it's just the mentality of it. But if Nakatani, now knowing the problem and the seriousness that Hernandez brings in the ring, he could possibly in the rematch do a little bit better. Same thing with Hernandez. Hernandez now knowing the things that he needs to do to not fall into that system where, like I said, those first 5 rounds he was just getting danced and countered and beat, and he just was getting caught off rhythm. If he fixes those things, he could easier be able to beat Junto Nakatani and probably could even knock him out. Who knows? So I don't want to see anything from these fighters, and unless it's again against each other, and then that winner from this fight could go fight Inoue. But I don't want to see anybody fighting. Now, going to the main event, this was just the complete opposite. This was a masterclass dominance from Inoue towards Picasso, where Inoue now improved his record to 32 victories, 27 of them by knockout, and 0 losses and draws. This was just straight belt to fucking ass, homie. Belt to fucking ass for 12 rounds straight for Inoue. Um, Scorecards wise, I was kind of like worried because I was like, there's just no way that Inoue was gonna win all fucking 12 rounds, right? Like, because Picasso's no slouch, he's ranked in all of them. He's ranked number 3 in the ring, and he's in the top 10 for all the belts. So it's like this is a serious contender. But I did give the 12th round to Picasso. Picasso did close the last 2 minutes of the third round very well, even though Inoue was still in there and was still doing good. I just think Picasso did a little better in those last 2 minutes of the 12th round. So I did give him that round. So round 1 to 11 Inoue, round 12 to Picasso, which is still a fucking massive blowout. Um, like I put right here, it's still most likely like the big super Japanese showdown is still gonna happen between him and Nakatani early 2026. But if my dreams do come true of mine and the fans, and Junta Nakatani and Hernandez decide to have a rematch, I did put out who I think Inoue should fight in order to see who the victor between Nakatani and Hernandez may be. And that, my friends, is this man. This man right here is a man known as, no fucking joke, Subaru Murata. Yes, his name is fucking Subaru. But this is the fight I think Inoue should pick against while waiting for Nakatani and Hernandez's rematch to happen and the victor of that fight him. So if the dream does come true and that rematch occurs, this fight should happen. Subaru Murata is currently stating at a perfect record of no losses, no draws, and 10 victories, and all 10 coming by way of knockout. So he has a 100% knockout ratio. He is currently the WBO Asia Pacific champion, and he's already defended that belt 2 times. He's also ranked number 10 by the WBO, number 7 by the WBC, number 8 by the WBA, and number 13 by the IBF. So 3 of the 4 sanctioning bodies have him in the top 10, and the 4 sanctioning bodies that doesn't have him in the top 10 has him in the top 15. So that is a good record to have overall. That ranking is a good ranking system to more than justify that this would be a valid reason to have Inoue fight this guy while Nakatani and Hernandez settle their grudge match. There's also a guy who has a knockout ratio of 100%. He's a Japanese up and coming mega fighter, so you could go back home, have another fight in Japan, and then, you know, whatever is the result between Hernandez and Nakatani, fight that dude, whether in Saudi Arabia again or in the US, or if it's Nakatani, it's obviously going to happen in Japan, but if it's Hernandez, it can happen in the US, or it can happen in Saudi Arabia in another mega card. But yeah, I think this fight in Japan, if Nakatani and Hernandez do have a rematch, this fight should take place. I don't see really anybody else. Uh, the Palace is kind of putting himself back into the high levels of the rankings. He's like ranked number in the top five for all four sanctioning bodies, so he's putting himself up there. But the last time we saw Tapales, it was for undisputed against Inoue, and that was like 4 fights ago, and he absolutely destroyed Tapales. You know, so it's like I don't really want to see that in the ring again. Uh, and then every other person is just kind of not it. This is a guy that's consistently, like I said, in all four ranking systems. Three of them he is top 10, and then the other one he's top 15. You know, he's also Japanese and has a pretty extensive, pretty good record in the sense of 100% knockout ratio would make the fight entertaining in order to sell it. And you know, if you want to look at it for the way of Picasso, I know I don't really talk about what's next for the losers, but for Picasso, I mean, Picasso is just it was just somebody who was out of his element in the sense of experience wise. I just think it was just too much experience for him. Especially, I told you guys in my video, I saw his last fight. It showed that he needs a little bit to improve if he wants to even stand his ground. Because in this fight, he didn't. It was just complete masterclass from Inoue of doing whatever he wanted to do to Picasso. So I always thought, like, hey, after that fight, he should probably have around 2 to 3 more fights before he wants to get in the ring with Inoue. But at the end of the day, I get it. You don't want to miss the opportunity to fight someone like Inoue for all four belts, for that amount of money, for that amount of exposure and stardom. I get it. But it should have been 2 to 3 more fights and then Inoue. But I did write down who I believe his next opponent should be coming back. He's obviously going to have like a tuna fight. That's more than given. He's probably going to go back to Mexico, have a tuna fight, and then after that tuna fight, I think he should fight either Ramon Cardenas, who was Inoue's last fight, where Inoue fought in Las Vegas and he got dropped by Cardenas, but then Cardenas got stopped like 3 rounds later, or two to 3 rounds later. That dude has been coming back, you know, solid fight, and he's pretty high up in the rankings as well. So that would be a good fight between two Mexican fighters. Or he could switch it up and go and fight Akhmedaliev. Same thing. Akhmedaliev has a very fascinatingly good amateur record. You know, Olympics and world tournaments and stuff like that. Then became champion, lost him, unified champion, lost him to Tapales. Then kind of was building his way back up to fight Inoue, was calling out Inoue. Even people believe that this was the one true guy Inoue was trying to avoid. Inoue fights him and fucking dominates the fuck out of him too, of course. And he hasn't fought since, I believe, since his Inoue defeat. So I think it's a good fight for both of these, for Picasso and Akhmedaliev to fight each other, kind of bring themselves back into the way. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Thank you very much for taking time out of your day and watching this video, guys. I'm truly, truly thankful for that. If you're new or you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. It does help. And if you like my videos, stay tuned for other stuff and check out my other videos. But I mean, what a night of boxing, guys. And there's going to be a lot more coming 2026. So stay, like I said, if you like my videos, stay tuned for my videos because I'm going to be pumping them out. Because January, February era, like that period is going to be absolutely stacked with so many fucking fights and so many potential matchups for the future. It's I'm gonna have my hands full, but I'm gonna be pushing out videos for you guys. Anyways, thank you very much. I've yapped enough. It's your boy Rocco. Have a good day. God bless.